Yo, stay wavy TV, ride the vibe with me, splash through your screen, drip clean like the sea, high tide energy, never on mute.
Terence Bud Crawford ducks Canelo Alvarez's rematch that was supposed to take place next year. Eddie Reynoso came out and said that Canelo Alvarez would not be fighting on Cinco de Mayo, but he was in negotiations for a rematch with Terence Bud Crawford to get his lick back at 168, right? So yesterday, Terence Bud Crawford retired from boxing, okay? He's done. He's retiring at 42-0. He's the first 3-weight class undisputed champion in boxing history. He's a 5-division weight class champion, right? Shout out to Terence Bud Crawford retiring at the age of 38. But let's be honest, guys. Terence Bud Crawford, and I predicted, I knew he was going to retire after this Canelo fight because at this point in Terence Bud Crawford's career, he made it very clear that he only wanted a fight that could make him the biggest payday of his career. And who else would you get that from other than Canelo Alvarez, right? Canelo Alvarez was the face of boxing. He probably still is. If we're talking about numbers, he probably still is the face of boxing. The only person that's bringing more money to the sport of boxing probably is Jake Paul, if we're being honest, right? And I think nobody's ever going to give Jake Paul credit for how he's helping the sport of boxing grow, but that's the reality of the situation. The man's fighting Anthony Joshua this Friday, and that fight's going to make an extreme amount of money, whether you like him or not, right? Shout out to Jake Paul. But Terence Bud Crawford, I had no interest in seeing a rematch with Canelo. I think Crawford probably would have beat Canelo worse the second time than he did the first time. Might even have stopped Canelo because he almost dropped Canelo in that last round. Some people didn't catch it, but Crawford is a strong motherfucker, bro. We got to give credit when it's due. For this guy to move up 2 weight classes and beat a stronger man against Canelo, who's fought at light heavyweight before, shocking. One of the best moments in boxing history, man. But we got to hold Bud to the fire, man. Terence, you ducked Jaron Boots Ennis, brother. You know, it's crazy how Terence Bud Crawford always brings up the fact that people didn't give him an opportunity to show the world how great he was. And that's why it took so long for him to get as big as he is right now, right? He brings up the fact that while he was signed to Top Rank, he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, and he feels like Manny Pacquiao ducked him. He feels like the people that was, promoting Manny Pacquiao at the time was protecting Manny Pacquiao from Terence Bud Crawford, right? He also brings up how Errol the True Spence Jr. didn't fight Terence Crawford when he wanted to fight him, right? Like, that fight would have been way bigger if it would have happened 3 or 4 years earlier than when it ended up happening. By the time the fight happened, it was clear that Errol Spence wasn't the same fighter. He was in a car accident where he flew out of his Ferrari, smashed onto the concrete. Now, he did win 2 fights after that accident. He beat Danny Garcia in dominant fashion. He beat Yordenis Ugas in dominant fashion. But Errol the True Spence Jr., he stood at 147 way too long. By the time he fought Terence Crawford, Errol should have already been at either 154 or 160. So the fight ended up being, it was a domination by Terence Bud Crawford. I got to give props when it's due. I'm not making any excuses for Errol Spence. But the fight definitely didn't live up to people's expectations. Even Terence Crawford fans thought that fight was going to be a 50-50 fight. And it was an absolute whitewash, okay? So now that Terence Bud Crawford has the opportunity to give a younger fighter the chance for them to show the world that they're great and they can become a superstar, he's pretty much doing the same thing that was done to him. And I hate people that do that, bro. I hate people that they call out other people not doing things for them, and then when they get in a position to do better, they choose to do the same fucked up shit. And that's what Terence Crawford is doing. You have the chance to pass the torch to Jaron Boots Ennis. And I'm not saying that Crawford should just go in there and lay down. Hell no. I think most people would pick Terence Bud Crawford to win that fight, but at least give the man the opportunity to show the world how great he is. You know what I'm saying? Bud, you only had one fight at 168. You had to put on muscle while you was on track for going to 168. You're telling me you can't move back down to 154. You only had one fight at 154. You're telling me you can't move back down to 154 and fight Jaron Boots Ennis? That's what I want to see. I want Terence Crawford to fight the winner of Boots versus Virgil. Hopefully that fight happens next year. Whoever wins, I would love to see Terence Crawford get in the ring and call the winner out, and we could get that squabble. You know, that's the only fight that we want to see is Bud versus Boots. And also, Teofimo Lopez wants to fight Terence Bud Crawford. Now, do I think Teo would win? Hell nah. But at the end of the day, if Teofimo Lopez is willing to move up to 154 or 160 to fight Terence Bud Crawford, why not give him the opportunity? The man called you a gorilla. You know what I'm saying? The man called you a gorilla. What better way to pay him back than getting in the ring and whooping his ass? You know what I'm saying? So Terence Bud Crawford, he's retired. He's not going to fight any of the young guys. And he said it out of his mouth, man. He feels like a guy like Jaron Boots Ennis. He feels like the risk is not worth the reward. He's not going to make a lot of money fighting Jaron Boots Ennis because Jaron Boots Ennis doesn't have a big name in the sport. He really doesn't even have a big name on his resume at all, which is sad, right? He was unable to get a fight with Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. You know, the best opponent on his resume is probably Stanionis, who's nobody really knows in the sport of boxing. So, you know, Terence Bud Crawford, that'll be the perfect fight to elevate the career of a Jaron Boots Ennis, even if he lost, because remember, Canelo became the face of boxing after he lost to Floyd Money Mayweather. So even if Jaron Boots Ennis was to lose to Terence Bud Crawford, he still could end up becoming the face of boxing. Plus, you know, Boots was sparring with Canelo before Canelo fought Terence Bud Crawford. So this is how I would look at it, right? It'll be dope if Boots could have fought Terence Bud Crawford, win, lose, or draw, and in the next fight he fights Canelo Alvarez. Maybe Canelo Alvarez will be the one that gives Jaron Boots Ennis the opportunity to become a superstar in the sport of boxing. Could you guys imagine if Canelo's last fight is against Jaron Boots Ennis? That'll be incredible, man. Whether Boots wins or loses, it'll elevate his career. If he loses but he still shows good things in the fight, like he doesn't just lay down like Charlo did when he fought Canelo, his fan base will grow. A lot of Canelo fans will start supporting Boots. You know? So, congratulations to Terence Bud Crawford on a wonderful career, but you will be known as the guy that didn't give the younger boxers an opportunity to be great, you know? And that's just the reality of the situation. I'm pretty sure Turki Al-Sheikh would pay you. Of course, he's not going to pay you how much he paid you when you fought Canelo, but, you know, Turki would give you a decent amount of money to fight Boots. Turki would give you a decent amount of money to fight Hamza Shiraz. Turki would give you a decent amount of money to fight Virgil Ortiz. So, you know, he keeps talking about, oh, well, this guy, he doesn't really have any fans, and, you know, he's not a draw. Bruh, Turki Al-Sheikh, bro. Turki Al-Sheikh run boxing, bruh. Turki Al-Sheikh got the bag. You know damn well Turki Al-Sheikh could pay you enough money to fight Boots, man. You know that. So that's duck talk. All of that, oh, he's not a name, that's duck talk, bruh. That's duck talk. You've seen Turki Al-Sheikh was willing to make the fight happen with Boots and Teofimo Lopez. You know, Boots was the one that didn't want to fight Teo because he decided to move up to 154. So I don't want to hear no excuses from Terence Crawford. Congratulations on a legendary boxing career. He's definitely in my top 10 favorite boxers of all time. But I just wish he fought Boots, man. So with that being said, it's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. Make sure y'all subscribe, thumbs up the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I know the Bud fans gonna crash out on this video. Shout out to y'all, man. I'm out.
Yeah, welcome to the vibe. Stay wavy in the mix, got the culture on the rise. Tap in, hit subscribe, ring that bell, let it ride. We gon' surf through the trends, give you game every time. Reviews, new views, keep it honest, never fake. If you're looking for the wave, this the channel you embrace. Stay